Hey, what's going on, YouTube fam? This is Joshua Paul. Thank you for joining in real quick on the Overcomer Dad channel. This is an encouragement story. Most of my stories are going to be encouragement. It's a gift that I feel I have to give, to be a blessing. This is an encouragement story from a dad's perspective of raising your children up in the Word, right? We have a 9-year-old son going on 10, and try to be very intentional with spending time in prayer, reading scripture together. Multiple times we've gone through Proverbs, try to do it like a chapter a day on the day of the month you're in, right? Sometimes we don't make it all the way through, but this is what this is really about. God's faithfulness, right? And how it's our job to plant seeds, and we water those seeds, but God will bring the harvest in, right? We don't have to do that part. And this was such a blessing to have a conversation with my son the other day. He's got a friend, a really, really good friend that he's met since we moved to a new state. And this young man is a pleasure to be around. So is his family. He's been through some health challenges, some significant health challenges when he was younger, and has some experiences that are, quite frankly, are pretty scary. If you went through them as an adult, you probably would be dealing with a lot of anxiety and fear. And he's endured those and come through it as a child. And so he's recently had a few things he's had to get checked on. And so I was talking to my son and I said, "Are you excited to see your buddy tomorrow?" I was talking to him yesterday. And I said, "Are you excited to see your buddy tomorrow?" Because he hasn't seen him in a little while. He said, "Yeah, I can't wait." I said, "Hey, it's okay to ask him questions about his recent experiences if he's comfortable with it, right? Sometimes it's really helpful to have a friend show that they care and they ask you how you're doing or what you're going through, and you allow him to speak and get things off his chest and minister to each other, and that's a form of iron sharpening iron, which is a famous proverb as well. But the point of that was more about being a good friend and a good listener, and that's part of how you will grow closer and build your relationship. And he said, "Yeah, I've asked him things before, and he's talked to me about some stuff, and I said, well, that's great. That shows me a level of closeness that you guys have together." And I said, now, he's been through some things that, could potentially, to a young kid, could be embarrassing. I don't know how he feels about it. But I said, the point is, make sure that stays between you and him, right? That he knows that he's safe talking to you about these things. And my son tells me, it's my 9-year-old son, he says, yeah, just like in Proverbs, it says, a gossip betrays confidence, but a trustworthy person or a trustworthy friend keeps a secret. And I was like, man, that's what I'm talking about, right? That's why we do what we do and how we try to raise our children up, right? Raising a young boy up in the Proverbs, in the Word, of soaking in wisdom, and for him to pull that out. And I had to look that up, to be honest with you. It's Proverbs 11:13. I had to Google that real quick, and I typed in something like, a good friend keeps secrets. I didn't even know exactly what it was, but he was right. Proverbs 11:13. A gossip betrays confidence, but a trustworthy friend keeps a secret. And confidence is like trust, right? So you can't have a good relationship without trust. I mean, part of the Overcomer Dad is having gone through a divorce at a really young age, 21, 22, 23 years old, separating and be a single dad for some of that season. And, the battle, the journey, the process of 50-50 custody in the courts and all these things, right? To be in your children's lives. That's an overcomer. That's the part of why I started this channel. And, raising your children up to be those things also. and gaining that wisdom in the process of these things, and seeing him apply that was such a blessing, right? So I hope that encourages you. Don't grow weary in doing a good thing. I know that that's a scripture too. I can't think off the top where it's at, but don't grow weary in doing a good thing. In time, it will reap a good harvest. It will produce good fruit. Okay, that's a deep one to hold on to as you go through your struggles. But remember, man, our children are like fields of soil. We need to cultivate the soil. We need to plant good seeds and have good soil cultivated for that seed to take root, for God to bring a harvest in them, right? That's a big part of what we need to do. And I've fallen short on that at times. We all will and have. But God's grace is sufficient. And love covers a multitude of sins. So we keep on keeping on. That's what we do, especially as dads, right? Got no choice. So I pray that y'all are good. Grace and peace always. Holler at me.